Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Chicago Soccer Talk with Collin. I'm very excited to talk again about the Fire and Red Stars this week. This is episode 12 of the YouTube show. Let's get going with some news, discussion about some of the most recent results for the Fire and Red Stars, and talk a little bit about preview for the upcoming matches. So first for the Red Stars, their most recent match was against Racing Louisville, and the Red Stars, one of the big issues this season has been goal scoring. We haven't scored a lot of goals in a lot of the matches this season so far, a lot of shutouts, which is not the way to go. I know we've lost a number of players, and due to injuries, we've lost some players. A lot of them left due to free agency, but still, we have a number of talented players on the roster. We need to figure out via coaching, game plan, and players that are put in the starting lineup how to try to get on the board. Because it's nice to get 0-0 draws, but if you can't score a lot of games, you're not going to win a lot of matches. It's pretty plain and simple. And the Red Stars need to figure out how to get that goal accomplished. So we ended up losing to Racing Louisville 2-0. Red Stars failed to score again. They had a promising victory the week before when they beat the Orlando Pride 1-0. And that kind of goes along the lines I was discussing, that if they can keep the opponent off the scoreboard or a low scoring match, for example 2-1 or 1-1, they might have a shot. But in this one against Racing Louisville, they allowed 2 goals, which was way too much. That was too much for the Red Stars to handle, and they were defeated in the second match of group stages of the Challenge Cup. 4 more matches to go. And the Red Stars ended up not scoring, which is disappointing. Alyssa Nair did very well in goal. The defense tried their hardest. We had some new players who made their debuts for the club, and some players, for example, Kayla Sharples, who finally came back from injury, made her debut in the second half, taking over for Tiernan Davidson, which was a promising sign to see. She's one of our best defenders. And they tried, but just didn't get enough shots on goal, didn't make most of their corners or chances overall, and they ended up getting shut out, which needs to change soon. Because one of the best examples in this match of a goal-scoring opportunity was Sam Fisher found Ella Stevens. Ella Stevens had a great choice and chance for a header, was just off target. So close, but yet so far, and it still was scoreless at that point. If they couldn't have gotten on the board for 1-0 lead, it could have changed the whole entire complexion of the match, but not to be. And Louisville made some good choices, good decisions, took advantage of the 2 best opportunities they had, ended up winning this match outright. So basically, the Red Stars need to figure out how to get on the board. I know it's easy to say that, easy to discuss it, like it's so easy, but it's so difficult to score goals, especially in the NWSL. A lot of teams don't score a ton of goals, and the Red Stars happen to be one of those right now. I haven't looked statistically or in, for example, like data, do they have the most amount of goals allowed or least amount of goals scored? But I would bet they're lower on totem pole in terms of goals scored this season. I haven't looked yet, but if I looked after this, I believe they probably would be towards the bottom. But in the end, it was a loss. So hopefully they can win the next match. They have some players coming back. For example, Kayla Sharples came back. Some of the young players are making good jobs on their new performances. We seem to take advantage of the offense, defense, and goal scoring, and defense and goal. And allowing goals overall has been okay. We did have that blowout against Portland, which was disappointing a couple weeks ago. But mostly, in terms of goals allowed, it's been pretty good. Just goals scored is the big problem. So if you can even them out, it should help in the long run. Because I know the Red Stars are towards the bottom of the league right now. The season is not going well, which I had thought that could be the case due to players leaving, such as like Morgan Bryan, Danica Loprico. and more of our really star players leaving in free agency. I thought maybe the new players, with some of the veterans who stayed on the roster and still listen to our end goal, could help maybe sneak into the playoffs. But so far, the team has been pretty bad. We need to figure out how to change that soon because the league's not unbelievably long. So let's move on to the Chicago Fire. First, a little bit of news. The Chicago Fire first have an injury news to report. Chris Mueller, one of our most skilled midfielders and forwards, is going to be out for a long time. How long that is, I don't know. The league does not seem to know. The club doesn't seem to know, but just keep in mind, horrible hip injury. He's going to be gone a long time, which tremendously hurts the club because, let's be honest, we weren't playing that great with Chris Mueller. But without Chris Mueller on the pitch, it's going to be a big issue. Hopefully, via transfer or some other means, for example, calling someone up, getting someone off the street, may can help with that. But so far, the injuries are piling up, and the Fire's skill level, let's be honest, wasn't that amazing so far. So we just need to figure out how to at least get some patchwork that can help overall. And I like some of the players, some of the young players, Brian Gutierrez, and more of the players, Frico Navarro. But so far, just things aren't going amazing. Like as of today, they're close to the playoff spot because 9 teams go to the playoffs now in MLS. They changed it from 8 in East and West conferences. So the Fire are like towards their 9th, 10th. So it's not out of the realm possibility with some key wins upcoming, playing well, that the Fire could sneak in or at least be in the conversation for the rest of the season, which is what I'm looking for. Frankly, in all honesty, I don't care if the Fire are the 9th team to make the playoffs. We haven't made it to the playoffs in years, so I don't really care. As long as we go to the playoffs, I'll be happy as a fan. And if we lose, like in the first round, each game's not that competitive, that'll be disappointing. But for example, if the club we play in first round, we play them well and we try our best and go home, I'll be fine as a fan. That's fine with me. Don't have any qualms about that. As long as they play hard, try hard, make the playoffs as the 9th seed, let's just say that's most likely. They make it in, go home held with their heads high, I'll be happy. But we need to figure out how to get there first because it's going to be tight all season, and so far my hopes are like 50-50 maybe that we'll make it. Maybe more 60-40 we won't, but I don't know, we'll see. Season not over yet, still have a chance to go. That was the devastating news about Chris Mueller's injury, big issue. We have more happy news on the other side. So Mauricio Pineda, one of our best players, he signed a new contract extension up through 2027. He's going to be on the club. I thought it was a great move by the club. Mauricio Pineda is one of our best players. I'm a big fan of him. He's really meshed well on the team's roster, and I think it was a good choice to sign Mauricio to a new contract. He'll stay here in Chicago. He says he enjoys being on the Fire and Chicago City itself, so it was a good move. We don't want to lose some of the more talented veteran-like players. He fits both of those boxes, and he can stay here for the long run, which is a good move. And we just need to figure out more how can we surround players with Mauricio Pineda and some of our more up-and-coming talented stars with the veterans, for example, Jiren Shaqiri, some on those guys as well. So we just need to mesh all 3 of them together and go over, kind of set up pretty well so far with Chris Brady, Spencer Ritchie. So hopefully that can mesh well along with new players. And one of our main issues, which I've discussed in past episodes, is that we don't have a true striker. Someone who can take it all on, score a lot of goals, along with assistance from the midfield and defense in terms of assists, take advantage of open opportunities, score goals. I know we have Kasper Sabilko and Kai Kamara, and Chris Mueller now is hurt, but I think that our coaches who fired, so Frank Klavos now, because Ezra Henderson's fired, needs to figure out a better plan in terms of the starting lineup. And I think we need to maybe switch to a different forward scheme. Instead of 1 forward, maybe we need to switch to 2, because you can't do that in terms of lineups. because I think that might be better fit for this club. I'm not the coach, I'm not the game manager, statistic geek in terms of what's lineup's the best for this type of roster. But I think maybe we should switch it to 2 just to see how it works, because the goal scoring can't get any crappier than this. This isn't an offensive juggernaut team. This team struggles to score 1 goal. I know a couple weeks ago we scored 3 goals against New England and we ended up losing. Or like a draw, 3-3, but I'll count that as an L for me. And then we scored 0 goals in the next match against Toronto. So it was kind of inconsistent, wildly consistent, scoring 3 and then 0 the next match. And we've had a number of 0 goal scoring. So just, as I mentioned, combine all the factors into a successful product, and the Fire might have a chance to sneak in. So the upcoming match, one of the more recent ones, is against FC Cincinnati on the road. FC Cincinnati is not the most amazing team of all time. They've actually been pretty good this year. They're a pretty talented squad, which is surprising because most years they've been pretty bad when they first were founded into the league. But they've been more successful this season. Hopefully we can play well and at least get a draw on the road. Then we have a game against the Houston Dynamo coming in the U.S. Open quarters. Hopefully we can at least knock out Houston, move on, because that would be amazing. DJ Benny Bull, one of my friends, we went to, he's on one of my podcasts, we're co-hosts together, a sports podcast. We went to the U.S. Open Cup, won rounds against Omaha FC last year, and that was a lot of fun. They lost that one, but this year, hopefully, we can keep moving on with a win against Houston. That'd be a lot of fun and see where it takes the Fire. So that's all I have for today. Just the news about Chris Mueller and Mauricio Pineda, results against Toronto and New England, and then upcoming games against Houston and FC Cincinnati. Hopefully, all goes well for the Fire. We'll see where they end up, because I know we have Frank Calvas now as the coach. Fired as Hendrickson. We're dealing with some injuries. Some players are very young who are making it their own. We have the veterans who are trying to succeed in their positions in the club, and we'll see where it takes them. And my cat, Angel, came in to say hello. She wants to say hi to the YouTube listeners. And that's all I have for today. Have a good rest of your week. Stay safe. See you next time on Chicago Soccer Talk with Collin. Goodbye.